Good afternoon, everyone. I will call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 to order. First order of business is the adoption of the agenda. So the agenda for this Committee of the Whole meeting was circulated in advance. I would propose the removal of item 4.1, which was a presentation by Mr. Michael McBurney. Mr. Michael McBurney canceled his attendance. So I would also propose the addition of a closed session agenda item of Local Governance Act SNV 2017-68 subsection 1 subsection D, proposed or pending acquisition of land. While the agenda includes public statements and inquiries as item number 7, its addition requires unanimous consent by council. It is not a standard agenda item per our procedural bylaw. Do all council members agree to the additions, deletions of the agenda items proposed? Yeah. If so, I'll accept a motion to adopt the amended agenda as presented. So moved by Councillor Jonah, seconded by Councillor Land. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all in favor, signify by stating aye. Opposed, if any? Motion's adopted unanimously. Any conflicts of interest to declare in relation to today's agenda? Not, we'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda, which is public and administrative presentations. We have a number of presentations this afternoon. Presentations by members of the public are limited to 5 minutes in length. Those are the ones for registered presentations, whereas presentations by service providers to the municipality and administration are not restricted to time limitation. So the first presentation is by Maritime Enforcement Services, which is presented by Mr. Keith Pico and Mark Charette. There is also a bylaw enforcement report for the month of April attached to that. So you're Mr. Pico? Yep. Yeah. So the floor is yours. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. So Mark wasn't able to make it today. It's just going to be me and Derek, the officer for funding over. So I guess we're requested to come in and give a little presentation of what we do and whatnot. So we have something done here. We'll just kind of go through. So I'm sure you guys have all seen our vehicle around. This is just a generic presentation, so is everyone able to see? So this is what our vehicle looks like. It's a new design for 2023. If we had when we were appointed here before under Hillsborough, we had a vehicle, but they were red, so they looked a little different. So again, this is new for 2023. So for the full-time contracts, where we do put the branding for the municipality on the side, but that obviously doesn't apply here, where it's just a 16-hour week contract. So our services, so bylaw enforcement services, dangerous and unsightly premises, parking enforcement and traffic, municipal patrol, and community safety. So what is bylaw enforcement? Bylaw enforcement refers to actions that may be taken by a municipality to ensure that members of the community comply with the bylaws and regulations of the municipality. So essentially bylaws are just the specific laws within a municipality. So what are the powers of bylaw officers? So section 14(3) of the Police Act states, within the territorial boundaries of the municipality for which a bylaw enforcement is appointed, the bylaw enforcement officer has the powers and immunities of a police officer for the purpose of enforcing the bylaws of the municipality for which the bylaw enforcement officer is appointed, as are stipulated in the appointment, but has in no other regards to the powers or immunities of a police officer. Yeah, this is just some more case law that's included in the presentation. Our bylaw officers, peace officers, as well established that bylaw officers are peace officers as defined in section 2 of the Criminal Code of Canada when acting in the course of their duties. This is just some more legal stuff in here. Considerations as stated by section 14(3) of the Police Act, bylaw officers only have the powers and immunities of a police officer to enforce municipal bylaws. Therefore, bylaw officers only have grounds to intercept an individual if a bylaw is in place for the violation of which the offense the person is committing. Sorry, there's some more stuff. Our officers do not perform traffic stops or motor vehicle violations of the Motor Vehicle Act or investigate criminal code matters. That's just the responsibility of the police. So now we'll get into the unsightly premise side of things. So we act under 3 separate sections to the Local Governance Act. So the first is section 131(1). No person shall permit premises owned or occupied by him or her to be unsightly by permitting to remain on any part of the premise any ashes, junk, rubbish, or refuse, an accumulation of wood shavings, paper, sawdust, or other residual property in construction, a derelict vehicle, equipment, or machinery, or the body of any part of a vehicle, equipment, or machinery, or a dilapidated building. So that's just some picture examples of rubbish from a fire and some old vehicles that are on property. And then section 131(2), no person shall permit a building or other structure owned or occupied by the person to become a hazard to the safety of the public by reason of being vacant or unoccupied. Just some more examples there. So this is just the general timeline. Typically, complaints take 4 to 6 months to a conclusion. That's if we don't have full compliance from the property owner. Again, we can send a notice to them and have it cleaned up within a few weeks, but this is worst case scenario and have to go the full lengths of our process. It can take 4 to 6 months to clean up a property. So then this is just our investigative process. So essentially we get the complaint from the municipality. We'll do our research. So research is just essentially we'll look and service SMB plan it and we'll just see who the property owner is. From there, we'll do a patrol by the property and see, if there actually is a file here or not. From there, we'll issue, a notice of inspection. So essentially we give the property owner property owner 14 days notice that we're going to be coming onto the property to do an inspection. So from there, we do communicate with the provinces to see if they have any interest in the property, if there's anything recent. So we'll go in and do our inspection. Essentially the inspection we just go in and take our necessary pictures that we need for the file. And then from there on, we'll create our report. And from there, this is kind of just a friendly notice that we do. It's a notice of dangerous or unsightly premise. Essentially, this gives the property owner 30 days to clean up if they haven't done so since we did the inspection. From there, we'll go in and do a second inspection. And so it'll say professional reports as required. If we are proceeding and there's something that's structurally unsound, we do need a letter from an engineer. And if it's something that would be considered abandoned, typically we get something from a fire prevention officer that would deem it unsafe from that point of view. From there on, we'll go to a Form 4. So this is a legal copy that we do up through the municipality, and it essentially gives them 21 days to clean up their property. Again, this is after the friendly notice of the 30 days. They have 14 days to appeal this. So after this is all said and done, we go into our final inspection, and they haven't complied with the notice given. This will go to council, and essentially they decide if they're going to want to clean up the property or not. So from there, if we go to cleanup, summons, or Form 5, we don't technically do the summons because there is a way we can charge them under this, but we don't proceed that way. And essentially a Form 5 is it's a letter to the province saying that the work's been done on the property and the property owner did it themselves and the file can be closed. And that's pretty much it. If there's any questions.
So I'll go around. Council Land, any questions?
No, I've seen the presentation in the past. I appreciate it. I do see you around a lot, so that's good. People are paying attention, so appreciate you being around.
Yeah, Derek's taking more of an educational approach just where the bylaws haven't been enacted yet. So he just speak with property owners and stuff and just kind of letting them know what was going to be coming. And the educational approaches seem to be doing well and people are cleaning up. So
Good. Thank you.
Councilor Jonah?
No, nothing. Thank you for your presentation.
thank you.
Councilor Coates?
Just one question. I saw shavings and sawdust. A lot of little mills are around the country.
Mhm.
If they're running a mill in
So-
their yard,
So it all depends really on how the property is zoned. So it can be zoned as like a commercial or not, or industrial. So if it's like, if it's on like a residential lot, they technically shouldn't be running a mill unless it's a licensed business, but it falls usually under more of a service commission issue, but we can proceed under it unsightly as well.
thank you for your presentation.
Councilor Arrow?
Well, I saw in the report that council received that there was a list actually of properties in the community that you've already identified. There was one for me, a notable omission, but maybe I misunderstood it, but we can maybe discuss that.
I should point out that that was April 2024, and I know there's been quite a few added on to that since this report.
Oh,
So
okay.
it could be just that it's on this next report coming up.
Oh, okay, very good.
Which one is that?
It would be in Alma, so I know there's a few in Alma that you visited recently. So.
No, so thank you, very good.
Right, Councilor Ellicott?
Yeah, just one question. If a resident has a complaint or wants to identify a property, what is the best route? Do they notify us or do they notify the office, or is there a number they contact directly?
So we do have our home office, but typically the way the complaints come through is through the municipality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did actually have another question, if you don't mind. After.
No, that's
Was that
okay. Thank you.
Councilor?
It's just, it has to do with priorities now. So there's this list, clearly you've done some surveillance to identify candidate properties or cleanup and such. Then presumably there's, at some stage at least, there must be some priority assigned. Obviously the ones where there's voluntary compliance clearly initiated by the property owner, these are all wins, that's good. But the ones that will take more time and effort and potentially resources from the municipality, are you intending on prioritizing or having a discussion with our administration on how?
Again, it's gonna kind of be down to the municipality, what they consider priority for us to deal with. So,
I've identified a few properties that are pretty high priority right now. There's a few on Main Street that are very high visibility to everyone. So I'm thinking of starting with those, with a couple of those properties. The big one is 2676 Main Street. It's a disaster. So that's an example of what a priority property would be like. There's a couple on Albert Mines Road that are in the same sort of ballpark. So I'll be starting with a few of those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I did have a couple of questions. So when we talk about a dangerous premise, so what would qualify as a dangerous premise? Is it a danger to someone who goes onto the property? Is it if it's falling apart? Like, is it generally a definition that you go by or something that you look for when you?
so when we
Identify
proceed under a hazard for the sake of being abandoned, that's basically what are the risks of there being a fire there? Is it unsecure? So like if anybody could just walk off the street and go in there. And then when we proceed under the structurally unsound, that's essentially, like if someone goes in there, is it gonna fall over on them or is it gonna fall over onto somebody else's property or?
So it would be classified either as abandoned or structurally unsound to the point where it could harm somebody further.
Correct, if we're dealing with a building.
All right. And you, because the unsightly and dangerous premise bylaw, first of all, it is now in effect.
Mhm.
There is one now in effect. And then secondly, notice here, there are provisions for charges under the act, but you say that the Maritime Enforcement Services doesn't adopt that approach, or is that standard across the province?
It's not something we haven't done in the past. The only reason being, like when that stuff goes to court and stuff, it's usually a pretty, so it can be a lengthy process and it's usually a lot of money.
Mhm.
So we've never taken that approach. Again, it is something we can look at, but typically we do it the way that I demonstrated there in the PowerPoint.
And because I understand that the actual cleanup of a property can also be very expensive.
Mhm. Yeah, so essentially what happens with the property cleanup, the municipality takes the initial cost of the cleanup. And again, the way we do this process, they can go to the province for reimbursement. So that's the way we do it that way.
And on average, do you have an average cost for cleanup of a property
So typically
in
when
your
I'm,
experience?
so it really all depends. The cleanups aren't typically that much. It's when we do the demolitions that it kind of gets expensive. You know, if it's a normal sized house, probably 8 to 10 grand. Cleanups usually run on the cheaper side, all depending. If there's a bunch of cars and stuff that need to be hauled out of there, it can be a little more expensive, but if it's just a lot of junk and stuff on the property cleanups can usually be around like $2,500 or $2 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, those are all the questions I had. So thank you very much for your presentation. Did you want to touch on, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Counselor. You're used to sitting over there. So
That's
my
all right,
apologies.
that's right. I know some of your slides, it was, you meant complaint based only. So where are your complaints coming from? Are they coming from the municipality themselves or residents? I'm just curious because I see on your list, there's nothing representing Ward 6, which would be Lower Coverdale, which I'm concerned because if you're driving through, you would have seen something
Mhm.
multiple spots. So I'm just concerned that, are you looking at the whole municipality or just certain areas of the municipality?
I can answer that one. I've been doing patrols throughout the whole municipality, and that's where the list has come from. The majority of the properties I've identified as not being in compliance, so I passed that list on to Linda, and on my patrols, I identify properties daily, and then I prioritize them
Okay,
for enforcement.
so you are soul searching them as well
Yes.
okay.
Okay, so there'll be complaints that come through the municipality too. Like we won't be able to notice them all. So between us doing proactive patrols and whatnot, we try to identify the ones that we can.
Yeah, I guess that answers most of the questions. Thanks.
Great. My apologies, Counselor Ward Russell. No, great. Thanks very much for your presentation. Did you want to touch a little bit on your report or you kind of touched on it a little bit as you were going along?
I think
That was just a report for information purposes.
yes, and then I'll add a few more to the May report and forward it to Linda.
I will point out, and has been mentioned by councillors, there has been a marked improvement on some properties. So thank you very much for that. I think that's, it's an indication of your presence in the community and the seriousness that this council takes with respect to unsightly premises. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Great, thank you. So you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting if you'd like. If not, you're probably busy. So the next presentation. Our next presenter is not here yet, so we'll just kind of postpone it until a little bit later. We do have a registered 2-minute presentation by Mr. James Wilson on the Hillsborough Homecoming Days Organizing Committee. Mr. Wilson, if you could just come in over and have a seat and.
Thanks for having me. So this weekend past, I was named the head of the organizational committee for the Hillsborough Homecoming Days. I think many of you are actually old enough to remember when Hillsborough Homecoming Days was the celebration in Hillsborough and surrounding area. Unfortunately, that's not really been the case the last few years. It's really fallen off. Mostly this is the classic case of the person who was organizing it either died or stepped away and then things fell apart. My role, as I see it, is one, organizing the Hillsborough Homecoming Days celebration for this year, but also putting it on an organizational stance where that doesn't happen again. So to that end, I'm asking the council for the name of a member who would be an ex officio member of the organization committee to act as a liaison between the organizing committee and the council. So we're not bringing surprises on each other. Like we're not doing things that you guys say, well, you can't do that. And you're not doing things with, well, we expect you to be able to do that. So yeah, that's basically the presentation. That's what I'm here for.
So you're here looking for someone to be assigned to your.
Yes,
organization.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and as far as responsibilities, the committee is probably going to be meeting every few weeks until the end of July when Homecoming Days is. And then I'm expecting to have a meeting once per month after that. Like I said, I want to keep this ongoing so it doesn't just fall to pieces after like one go.
Any questions for Mr. Wilson? Any members of council have any questions?
How many-
Sorry.
How many people are on your committee in total?
Well, let's see, when I was appointed during the weekend, it was me. I have asked one person who has volunteered to help, so it is now sitting at 2.
So what we will do, Mr. Wilson, is we will canvass council and we'll be able to give you an answer today, but we'll make sure that we follow up with you in fairly short.
Can I leave my email with you, or?
I believe I may already have.
Probably, I bothered you a lot.
Don't bother me. I believe I have your contact information.
Okay,
We'll do that and we'll get back to you.
thank you very much.
Great. So thank you for your time and thank you for your presentation. So the next item on the agenda is the administration report. So we will perhaps jump to that if you would like, Ms. Saverin.
So I can start it off, and of course, each of the team is going to do their section. So the first part, the community grants program. So the application process did close. As of the last council meeting, we did have the approval to move forward with those grants. So the letters have all been written, but I just have to get them together. The checks have all been cut. So I hope to finish that off tomorrow and get those out to everybody. Tender processes, we have actually yet to award a tender. I might add, there's a lot of stuff going around that says that there's tenders being awarded all over, but every one of them is still pending for one reason or another. Riverside Alfred Fire Truck, we are still waiting for our approved financials before we can get our approved funding, and the tender will be awarded once we get that. Shoreline Trail, we are kind of seeking clarification right now from Infrastructure Canada, so we don't want to award that tender until we have that particular answer. And the Riverside Albert filtration work has just been closed on May 9th, and we have received a bid, and we haven't awarded one as of yet either. We did put a tender out for the golf course road. That was a decision as of the last council meeting. So it's a new one, and same with the property on Steve Street. That would be a request for proposals. And I hope to get that done next week, as I haven't had a chance to do it yet. So as far as any of those tender processes and any requests for proposals, they are still all pending. So we will come back when things have been officially awarded. The next part of it is building permits. So on the report is a graph of the building permits. You can see permits are actually down for the month of April. And you would ask for it split up by ward. So I have split up the dollar values by ward. Again, it's too early to see any kind of trends. All the summer construction is starting up, and we might see an uptick in building permits over the next few months. But this is just to keep track of them as we move along. And I'll turn it to Jillian now for the financial section.
Right, so I provided this time around an income statement to show where we're at for each of our general operating companies. Everything seems to be in line with what I have for budget. The only minor one that has really stuck out is that we're already about 40% through the trails budget of 12,000, which doesn't leave a lot left for trail maintenance or the project for Shoreline. Once I'm working with Kim and Linda, and once we have information back for Infrastructure Canada on where we're going with the project, where it has been changed in somewhat small scales, we'll advise council where those funds can come from. And I know it's kind of been a question of the surplus that's showing on our income statement for general operating, and some things that haven't come through yet that we'll be paying out shortly will be our paving, some budgeted staff that have just been hired, our cost of assessment, our CNP second quarter, May and June debenture, interest payments, and also a highlighted note is equipment is 10% lower on the scale of where it should be, due to no major repairs that have been needed. And the same for the utility departments. We just have some debentures that haven't come out yet. So once they come out, those will take away any surplus that we have.
Did you want to just go over the utility budgets as well, or
There's nothing,
those are for information purposes?
information purpose, there's nothing really that's really spiked like notice.
Mhm.
Everything seems to be flowing at a decent rate. Like just it's staying in line with where we're at. And some big things haven't happened, like Alma, we haven't got our billing yet for the temporary water. And Hillsborough, we didn't, start water exploration yet. And Riverside, we're just kind of, we have no big projects that we're working on that are going through budget.
Thank you. We'll go around the table. Councillor Arrow, any questions for?
Yeah, the only question I have is the report Jillian lays out, and you note that the expenditures to date and whether there's anything unusual, which you really are saying nothing really other than the trail thing.
Yeah.
We previously have heard and seen from others that a best practice includes projected year-end status. So not just how are we doing up till now, but with all the intelligence that we have about the expenditures as we're seeing between now and the end of the year, what are we expecting the year-end result to be as we're sitting now? Do we have it? Are you planning on?
Oh, most definitely. Now that I have much needed help in staff, I'm able to get at least this report very well done compared to my last reports. And I'm able to work on finishing our audit for 2022 for Hillsborough, 2023, closing up the year, getting that stuff done. So I can prioritize reporting like that, which is forecasting the year end.
And is there anything that's happened on any of our companies? So whether it's the general operating or on the utility side, are there any expenditures that you're aware of that are coming that are going to cause us grief to the bottom line of any of these companies?
There's none that I'm aware of that haven't already been budgeted.
Okay, that's good.
I believe, Councillor, she mentioned that like the second quarter invoice for the RCMP has not been paid yet, and that's like 250.
65.
It's planned.
Right. It's planned, but it's not.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, my question is, I think Jillian understood that, is that are we aware of any, call it unplanned, unbudgeted expenses that are substantial, that have not yet been paid, but we know are on the horizon that are going to cause us a year-end heartache?
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. No.
Anything that's been major spending, we follow through like a purchase order process. And our program is to initiate those amounts within our expenses. So they've already been expended, even though they haven't even been fully purchased. The purchase has been approved.
The PO system should help us significantly.
Yeah.
Just being able to provide some sense of comfort that we know what's coming in the months to come. So.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Coates,
No, good, thanks, Jillian, for your report.
Councillor Jonah,
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
Councillor Land,
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Councillor Russell,
So you talked about the Hillsborough audit for 2022, so that's looking like we're moving that one forward. But
Yeah, I log in every other day.
Perfect.
Just, if I'll send them a bunch of stuff and I'm like, did I give you everything? Is there something missing? I'm constantly asking them.
And then I assume the process for the 2023 Funding Albert audit, has that been initiated yet, or?
They can't start that until we finish the 2022 for Hillsborough. Once that has been completed, we will take the trial balances from the former municipalities and we will amalgamate them within our accounting ledgers. And then we'll be able to start the process for 2023 audit.
Last question, was with regards, I know that we've approved some cost, for some engineering, $50,000 last week, and I think 30,000 coming up here shortly. Is that budgeted or that's non-budgeted, right? So
It's always been discussed, so it's non-budgeted, but we are aware of them. We have allocated.
so it's okay, okay.
And those need to be tendered. Our engineering partnerships do it. Like, for instance, the golf club road, 50,000 that we just approved.
That is not tendered. Normally, we just deal with whatever engineering firm we deal with. But that's only for the engineering aspect of it. But any work, any tenders that result from that will be.
But not the engineering, not the 50,000 wasn't competitive.
And that was just an estimate.
But at some point, we could discuss having a, firm of choice that we then use or have a contract for 3 years or 5 years. We could do that for a lot of things. It could be for electrical, it could be for engineering, it could be for, you name it.
Lawyer.
Lawyer, it could be, yeah.
If I may?
Just a second.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, were you done, Councillor Arrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Land?
Quick question, we're still doing the audit for 2022.
Mhm.
If those numbers are changed, would the new budget numbers be different? That we
Not really, like the accounting part's been done, right now it's audit. So what they do through this audit process is he'll send me a list of payments that have been made. It doesn't matter if it's water, sewer, dog tags, anything like that, he'll send me a list of probably like 20 of them. I have to show him where the payment was received, where the payment went in the bank account, and a copy of that invoice that was sent out. So this is what the audit process that we're going through. We've completed, the accounting part was completed by Baker Tilly, so this part is basically just the actual auditing of our books, yeah.
Good. Councillor Russell, were you done?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Elderkin?
yeah, just one question. Accounts receivable. Would we eventually get a list of who's extremely behind versus not necessarily who, but how many people we have that their water's been notification that there's
Along with the report that, Councilor Arrow has requested, accounts receivable is on my next hit list.
perfect. And I just want to say thank you. I know this last couple of years, but I hope you're seeing light at the end of the tunnel and getting support. And when you get your support, we get what we're needed, so.
Yeah, 2 new staff, well, one's temporary, just to help with the catch up and with filing, but having the 2 and giving me the breathing air to do what I need to do my job, it makes a big difference, and I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. For my purposes, when I looked at the income statement and I saw the large number, I figured that there were some things that hadn't quite gone through yet. So because I don't think it's correct to say that we've got 648,000 extra. So some of that is going to be paid at some point in the future. No, I certainly appreciate all the detail. And as I understand it, it's almost like a best practice. It's been from another municipality that's a neighboring municipality of ours. And I know you've been working really hard to kind of refine that, and that's good. But unlike Councillor Arrow, as we kind of get on through the year, it would be nice to have a sense of, are there going to be those big ticket items that are going to come up and be a surprise?
Most definitely, and that's really the purpose of an operating reserve, which is something I like to, again, this year, if we do have a surplus towards the end of the year, is to invest in that operating reserve again, because there's a lot of things that may not be capital items that come up, but there's a lot of different things like engineering fees for projects we didn't foresee ever happening this year.
Right.
So.
And the idea generally is it's okay to have a surplus. It's not okay to have a $700,000-800,000 surplus, because that tells us that when we budgeted, we did something wrong. So we just need to be careful with it. Yep. All right. So thank you very much. Back to you.
It is now on to Kim's section.
All right, so a couple of sections, 3 sections. The first one is funding. So I did apply the last meeting we were at for a $50,000 grant from the Department of Tourism, Heritage and Culture for a community public art program. Unfortunately, we were not successful. We were successful with receiving $1,250 from Trans-Canada Trails. I'm working with partners to develop 2 interpretive signs for Wetland Park. The $50,000 grant from the Department of Local Government for legal fees to apply for bylaw review and easement agreements. We have not received word from that yet. I submitted an application for $4,250 to Horizons Community Innovation Grant for a multi-sport youth program. So it's to offer a multi-sport program for community kids to come together and play a different sport weekly. It'd be held at the Riverside Rec Center for a 6-month period. The program would consist of having instructors come in to introduce a new activity or sport every couple weeks. Speaking of that, I just, Farm Credit Canada, they had awarded us $1,000 to go towards Riverside Albert basketball upgrades. I did get permission from them to spend the money on sporting equipment. So we bought volleyballs, basketballs, badminton rackets, pickleball, you name it, we have it. And then we ordered a wire bin to store the equipment in, and then we're gonna have a lock on it. And anyway, that'll be a nice incentive for those that are using the gym. Heritage Canada funding was successful, $5,760. That was for Alma and Hillsborough Canada Day events. Partnered with Friends of Fun Day to install 12 50-gallon rain catcher barrels in Alma with the hopes this can help with water conservation. And if this is a success, hopefully it will expand throughout the municipality in the future. Responded to New Brunswick or NB Power's request for expression of interest for DC fast charge site hosting for public use. I applied for 3 fast charging stations to be installed, one in Alma, Hillsborough, and Riverside Albert. I haven't heard from that yet, but the tentative selection of sites is June 30th. Valuing education, the municipality is offering 2 $500 bursaries to assist in reducing barriers for local students to pursue further educational opportunities. So on May 14th, a letter was sent to Review High School and Caledonia Regional High for them to each provide us with the name of a deserving graduating student who is a resident of Fun Day, Albert, and who is community-minded. The municipal assets section, Alma Rec Center and Alma Activity Center were both inspected by the fire marshal on April 2nd. The Alma Activity Center, there were no issues. The Rec Center, the fire marshal did bring up a few concerns. All fire doors need to be always closed, even when the building is in use. So they tend to always be open with a wedge when it is in use. But the fire marshal is saying that the wedge, no, it's got to be closed at all times. The bottom of the stairs, there's a room that's always open for New Brunswick for NB Power because they need to get access to the meter box. That lock needs to be removed, or a key is going to have to be given to NB Power to be able to access that. The occupancy downstairs has changed from 150 to 60 people, as the stairwell with the wheelchair lift is not considered an exit, thereby reducing the allowable occupancy. The mezzanine shall remain out of service. No one should be upstairs until the stairs are replaced. Public Works will be boarding up the staircase. The Alma Cultural Center in Hillsborough Arena was inspected September 2023 with no issues. The 2 mini splits were installed at the Alma Activity Center on May 7th to complete the warming center project. I did add the community center rentals. I don't think I need to read all that. You guys see that yourselves for what numbers we had from January. The Alma incubator spaces have all been rented out with 2 units with a 1-year lease expiring in April 30th, 2025, and 1 unit expiring December 31st, 2024. The Alma Cultural Center gallery space lease expires September 30th, and the lower unit fronting Main Street and rear unit expires December 31st, 24. Hillsborough Artisan Village, 5 cabins have been rented out this season. We currently have 1 available cabin, if you know of any entrepreneurs out there. The multi-use rental policy will be tabled at the June committee of the whole meeting, sorry. The Visitor Information Center in Hillsborough will be opening June 23rd. The VIC will be open 5 days a week up until July 15th, and it'll be open 7 days a week from 10 to 6 p.m. Partnering with Friends of Fun Day to have a Visitors Information Center in Alma, with Fun Day Albert providing a portion of the wages, and the position will be managed by Friends of Fun Day. The Hillsborough Community Pool, the pool is scheduled to open July 2nd, closing August 30th is the last day. The pool will be open Tuesday to Saturday with possibility of some Sundays in the month of August. And also swimming lessons will be offered this season, so I'm really excited about that. I did create and submit a pool manual for operating the community pool to the CEO, which I did receive back today with her edits. So I'll make those edits and have everything ready for the staff. I do have a list of the community events. Some of you may have noticed the banners that we have throughout the community. May is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The Jade Center, formerly known as the Southeast Sexual Assault Center, provides bilingual services available to anyone impacted by sexual violence. And Earth Day community cleanup was a success. The village gave out 110 kits from Alma to Lower Coverdale. Thank you again to Crooked Creek Convenience, Guardian Pharmacy, Harvey Hall, Friends of Fun Day, and Darren Phillips Auto Repair for the prizes donated. May 9th to June 13th, there's spring basketball happening at the Riverside Albert Rec Center. Thank you to the Alma Rec Council for providing that program. It's for kids grades kindergarten to grade 5, and it's free. May 25th at 10 to 2 is a Harvey Hall's hosting a bike rally, ride, and rodeo. May 29th, Spring Tea is happening in Caledonia High. This opportunity is to create connections between the school and committee. There's also tables with local resources to share information as well. And June 1st, Friends of Fun Day is hosting Trail Day. And they'll be having a trail building workshop, a how-to on community trail maintenance, a barbecue hosted by the Riverside Albert Fire Department, live music, June 3rd, from 1 to 4, the Hillsville Elementary School, Home and School Community Partners are hosting the first annual Fun Fest to raise funds for the school playground at the Hillsborough Kiwanis. That's all I had.
Thank you very much. Superiors, Councillor Elderkin, any questions?
No, thank you. There's lots going on. It was interesting to see your report on the usage of the buildings.
Yes, I thought that was a great incentive.
Yeah, that's good. I know the Riverside Rec Center gets used a lot, but the capacity thing, is there a way to fix that?
The wheelchair lift would have to come out.
Really?
Yeah. So when you have the wheelchair lift in, it's telling people that there's 2 ways out. So if the lift is upstairs and there's a fire, it's all because of the lift. That's what the fire marshal advised me.
Okay.
This is the capacity of the staircase, right? The width of the staircase, so
Too.
you can only get X amount of people using the staircase in an evacuation, therefore it reduces the occupancy.
Okay, even though people that aren't in the wheelchair can exit upstairs, they don't need to go downstairs? Interesting. And the mezzanine, where I heard you say they're blocking it off.
It's gonna have to, I don't know if it is yet, but it will have to be. There is one section that's blocked off now where the stairs are removed.
Right.
But the other section, you can still go upstairs and there's like a gaping hole that you could fall down. So that will have to be blocked off until the stairs are repaired.
Okay. And is there a plan to replace the stairs?
We haven't got that far yet.
Okay. That's perfect. That's all I need.
So yes, it has to be on part of the master list of things to do. Is it's that second stairwell, there's no egress, right? There's no secondary egress off of the mezzanine, so you can't have anybody up there.
Because there's a lot of kids there on, I know, Sundays. Like there's a lot of kids there. Just, so maybe have to put some signs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ward Russell.
No, thank you for your report. It was quite detailed, but greatly appreciated. And I'm happy to hear in regards to the pool. I think we expressed that appreciation last time, but congratulations on that. I think that is.
I just wanted to say on the pool piece that Kim put an awful lot of work into that. And the results are fantastic, and there's going to be lessons, and there's going to be lots of variety of times that are open. There's lots of lifeguards. There's some junior ones, some senior ones, so we can maybe build capacity in the years to come, but it was definitely on Kim's hard work that made that happen.
Well, thank you for your hard work. It's paid off.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Land.
Yes, thank you for your work on the pool. It's nice to know that's going to be well looked after and maintained. I'll make a correction. I think June 9th is the date that the Hillsborough Elementary School and home schools.
I guess in June 9th.
I think it said third.
Okay, well, I meant June 9th. Thanks, guys.
You're in the pool pit section. Anyway, just want to make that note.
Yeah.
June 9th.
June 9th.
On Sunday, I do believe 1 to 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, appreciate all your hard work on that. Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jonah.
Yeah, a lot of work here, Kim, really appreciate it. And, you know, the pool has been one of those things over a number of years, people's been asking for extended times and different days, and this is gonna be fantastic, fantastic. So thank you for all your work put into that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Coates.
Thanks, Kim, great report, and hope you keep up with the good reports. Good reading, Dick, but I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, yes, thanks, Kim. That was a good detailed report. I do have a few questions that maybe are between Linda and yourself. The first one on the EV charging stations. I saw that it mentioned that the implementation wouldn't be until the fall, but all the way to 2026. Is that really true? 2026, or was it?
It wasn't a typo. No, that's a true story.
Well,
Yeah. Winter 2026, yeah.
the next questions concern our buildings. So the ones that are used by the community or rented. I believe this is correct to say that you do the scheduling of those, is that right?
Yes.
So there was a recent issue that we had in Alma where someone had scheduled. In fact, this kind of issue has come up a few times, but so they're scheduled to use the building, but there's no way for them to get in. So what is the strategy about keys and entrances and closing and custodial services? What is going on there?
So they didn't have a key to get in, but yet they had the building.
Yeah, well, the knotweed presentation.
Oh, the activity center. Yes, didn't we?
It was one.
that?
So I got a phone call late in early evening, saying, how do we get in? So they had it reserved.
I think we assumed you were gonna let them in. I think we talked about that because we weren't gonna go.
Nothing happened with that one, for
Yeah,
sure, so.
but that is not.
What is the normal?
Well, so we will have a different process. Can we share that?
With the process of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, go for it, Kim.
Yeah, so the Alma Activity Center, there's a hornet buzzing around or something. So the Alma Activity Center will have a keyless entry system installed, very soon, hopefully. Waiting for the PO and I'll order that. So it will be managed by me. And so say someone books the activity center today from 10 to 2, so I would send them a code. The code will work from 10 to 2. And then at 2 o'clock, it's no longer gonna work. And then I'll be able, if somebody's gets locked out, if they left and forgot their purse, I can let them in, and the staff will have fobs to be able to access, so they don't need codes.
Are we using that for more than just that building? Yeah.
Yeah, so the goal is to have them in all center, like at the rec center as well, 2 doors to the rec center, the gallery space,
Great, okay.
and the cultural center, but budget wise, we're just gonna be able to do the Alma Activity Center for now. But typically when someone books it, they make arrangements to get the key, but the Guardian Ecology, again, that was a rarity. I think we just assumed that John was gonna let them in. Sorry.
Okay, so the other thing you mentioned about how in Alma, the leased spaces are all leased. This is good. What was I can't remember back from our budgeting and such, but did we establish what the 2024 lease rates were?
I think when we did budget time, we kind of based it off what that previous year was.
So was there an increase from 2024 over 2023 for the spaces?
There will be, because it's now they're leased for a year. They were only leased for the season before. So now these folks are renting the buildings or the units for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Compared to 4 or 5 months.
We are coming back to council next month with a policy for all of our municipal spaces, so it will be included in that.
Okay. Okay. And my last question is just about, I think it's probably in your area, is Canada Day events within Fundy Alberta. I know Hillsborough and Jeff Joan, I think, took a leadership with certain members of the community here. I don't know how linked you are to that. In Alma, there's quite a bit of activity going on with the so-called Alma Collective.
Yes.
Which I sometimes have involvement in, but lately I haven't been. Are you kind of plugged into what's going on?
No, I'm not.
So that, because these are basically community events that part of it, the fireworks is the best example, includes.
The fireworks have been ordered for both Hillsborough and for Alma, based on our last council meeting where that was approved of that money. For this year, the independents too are doing their thing. But then as a municipality, we'd like to come back next year with a better plan on how we can do events throughout all of our wards and maybe have some sort of venture rotation bus, I don't know, something where we'd like to look into that, where we can have more involvement in all of the wards and not just in 2 of our communities. So we're just trying to get through this year with what we can, and then we'll have something better in place next year.
So from the municipal government point of view, are we doing any leadership of Canada Day stuff?
No, not this year.
Other than the fireworks?
Now, there is money available for Hillsborough to do their thing. There is money available to the Alma Collective for their thing. They apply for grants, for the grants in the community grants program. So there is money available to those groups to do those activities. But
If they need some sort of support,
We
we
can-
can always reach out. I can support with promoting, or I'm not sure what.
There has been, this is a question, have they requested the use of the facilities? Because I'm pretty sure that they're intending on using, for instance.
Center was booked for the Market for Canada Day and for Fleet Launch.
Fleet launch for sure. I'm not
Maybe
sure.
not. Okay, we can follow up with the.
Yeah, because I think there's an intention to be
Probably something.
using that, even the parking lot for things. And in terms of the,
To the point, they will need to come to the CAO and ask for, or go through the.
have already done that?
We haven't seen some of those, no. The parking lot might be a bigger deal because the parking is needed. If you're planning on using some of those parking spaces, that might be a larger conversation.
Okay, and so in arranging typically, there was the fire departments were
And it
involved
is this year.
for the fireworks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's been done through your, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have 2 comments. One is on the pool. I know you put a lot of time into this and very much appreciated. There was some doubt at one point whether we were going to have an open pool. So I'm sure the folks in the community, whether it's folks in Hillsborough or the surrounding area, will be very happy to have that. And swimming lessons is a bonus. Just thank you very much. And I'd also like to extend my appreciation for yourself and all the staff who were involved with the Earth Day cleanup and hauling away of all the garbage that was picked up. I think it was a success. It was a lot of garbage that was picked up. And no, it's really great to see involvement in all areas of the community, even in Lower Coverdale and all the way to Alma. It was good. So thank you very much. That's all I have. So if you want to move on.
Yeah, Scott's is the next section, so I'll let him go ahead with that.
I'll start with the water and wastewater. Our water testing analysis is 100% compliant with the mandated schedule, no issues reported. In April, our SCADA system was removed from the Alma former office to the well house. In Alma, we've had multiple summer residents reconnected to the water, fire hydrant replaced for temporary line that's needed. We've been down with our water issues for a few weeks, checking through the nights for some water leaks. Nothing drastic is found. Mother's Day weekend, we had quite an event where we got very extremely low on water. Made it through, but now our temporary line is hooked up through the park. So we're running 2 separate water systems in Alma now for the summer. We've had multiple meetings in Riverside, Albert for their filtration project. We've had water and wastewater services on Taylor and Lane connected. And then with Hillsborough Riverside, we've had a few of our sanitary lines done some flushing and some video inspection. Our public works team has put away all our snow equipment, thank goodness. And we pulled out our summer equipment and we've serviced that and have it ready to go. We've been out mowing for a couple of weeks now. We've gone through multiple much cold patch in the 3 former area municipalities, trying to keep up with potholes. We've repaired multiple washouts that occurred during some of our heavy rains. We started the street sweeping and cleaning of the sidewalks and our municipal properties. And like I said, again, the mowing is well underway. The arena is now closed down and the ice is out. We've completed the office move and removed the old signs. We've done a heat pump inventory of all our properties and obtained quotes for heat pump services. Golf Club Road, we've got the additional barricades in place. We had a meeting with DTI on road infrastructure, including the 114 and the Golf Club Road. A few in-kind services we've done. There was a dog running event. We helped set a few things for them and cleaned up afterwards. Picked all the garbage up from multiple locations from the Earth Day cleanup. And we helped it with the school playground here in Hillsborough with some work to fix up a little bit of the equipment in the grounds. The CAO and I have been on some multiple sites of all our municipal asset property. And CAO and Public Works had 3 planning sessions to discuss infrastructure and department workload, equipment, training, and other items. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Quite a detailed report. Councillor Elderkin, any questions?
Thank you very much, Scott. The arena, was it successful? Because it was kept open a month later this year. Was that a successful venture? Was
We
it?
have to discuss with the.
That's coming out later.
I don't know the dollar, I mean,
Successes.
Right.
But yeah, we'll have to kind of crunch some numbers and look at some finances and look at the bookings. I do know at the last meeting, somebody had requested to open earlier in the fall. Anyway, we're gonna do a full analysis of the arena in the summer months. Like just gonna see where.
Could I just make one comment on that? Like the arena, we've got some new infrastructure there. But the heart and soul of the whole arena, the compressors that have to work in order for even all the new stuff there to make the ice. It's old stuff. It's stuff we've accumulated some parts and pieces, from other arenas. Those compressors are not designed to run the pair of them wide open all the time. And with the warmer fall, the warmer springs, like both compressors have to run. So you're putting wear and tear on older equipment. So you've either got a budget for new compressors, if you want to start pushing the envelope on running them in the warmer weather, because in the warmer weather, both compressors have to run simultaneously wide open. Just food for thought. Because if they break down, then your whole season's done and gone.
Yeah. I appreciate that. My other question was, I noticed yesterday there was a staff member in behind the Riverside Albert former office. But I didn't know at the time it was a staff member. I thought, well, what's going on now? So I turned around, but it was Finn. So the staff is now transitioned. Is that for the summer? Is that what's? Yeah.
Yes, we have 2 staff that are going to be working from Saturday through to Wednesday.
Right.
And their main focus is Alma's washing some garbage cans and then whatever else needs done to complete their full day.
Okay.
After that.
So it's mowing lawns or whatever. Yeah. So when I went back, it was obviously one of the public works mowing the lawns. No, there was no breaking into no. So that was good news. Thank you very much.
Mow the lawn?
No, they didn't. No. The only other question I had was the planting, the flowers and stuff this year. I haven't spoken with the volunteers. I didn't know what the time frame with, if the volunteers are still interested in doing it again this year. What time frame are we looking at? Is it June?
Well,
usually later in June, I think.
well, I mean, the warm weather's there now, so if they wanted to plant flowers, just let me know where and I'll have the flower beds cleaned up, I guess.
Yeah, and did you order the same as you ordered last year?
I didn't order any flowers.
Okay, so it's the same. So I'll touch base with them and let Linda know. Thank you. Thank you very much for the report.
Councillor Ward Russell.
No, thank you for your report. I know that you didn't want to talk with Arena, but we have heard some good news stories, I guess, from people that were using it. So we'll take that into consideration and accept that. Just a quick note that you did clean up some garbage for Earth Day, but there is a mattress on the side of the road on Route 114 in Lower Carville. And I'm just wondering, DTI? So they say no. So I'm just curious, I can't lift it, we've tried, it's been there. So I'm just curious if by chance that we couldn't try to get that out of the ditch at some point.
We've been told by DTI that it's not their responsibility. Leave it with us. Thank you. Is that it, Councilor? Councilor Land?
Thank you, Scott, for your report. You've been busy, keeping things up to speed, which is great. Appreciate that. I do echo your comments on the Arena. Another thing with the Arena, it's not very well insulated. So those compressors in September will have to work overtime. I thank you for adding that to the conversation. And I'd also like to ask the fence at the swimming pool, was those prior to last year or something?
Oh,
Can we get that maybe touched up before the kids come, if possible? Other than that, no, thanks for your report. That's good.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Jonah?
No, the report is fine. Everybody is busy, which is good. Got a couple of questions for a couple of fire hydrants on the village that came out of the fire station up there. One over by Valley Baptist. There's a problem hooking up to it that was apparently reported. Did you hear anything on that at all? Okay. Apparently there's, they're having problems hooking up to it.
okay.
Not sure or something.
Trace must be stripped or something.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
look at it.
And there was one by Greg Bennett's that was down once upon a time. Has that been repaired or do you know anything about that either?
By Greg Bennett.
Yeah, apparently it's over by Greg Bennett's place.
That's working last fall when we did our
Okay.
flushing. There's one up, I know, above Pound Hill.
Yeah, it's
I'm trying to track down parts and pieces.
Yeah.
Again, our hydrants are the old style hydrants, so nobody in town is carrying those hydrant parts anymore. So I'm gonna search out a little further to acquire some parts, so maybe an issue moving forward. So, but yeah, but no, I will look at those two hydrants over there.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. See.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Coates?
Last time I was in Alma, I noticed that skid steer was sitting outside. Is that stay out 12 months of the year?
Yes, it does.
You think it's, in your opinion, it should be inside?
Should be inside, yeah.
Yeah, because I've worked around equipment for 60 years or so and sitting outside and especially the salt air. We'll be replacing it before long.
Oh, you can see the rust in it there now, yeah. The corrosion, yeah.
So we've identified that as the project for this year is to build a little lean-to on the side of that shed in Alma. And that we can then close off and.
Close it off,
that in.
Okay, I didn't hear that, but, yeah. We've got to maintain what we've got there because we can't afford to big items. They are costly. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Councilor Arrow.
Yeah, I have a few questions, Scott, and probably maybe the group. The first one is maybe the group one. That I was doing did a little tour of the village the other day, and the gazebo is in rough shape. The roof in particular. Where are we at on the gazebo for 2024?
So that's been identified as well as a project. I think you're gonna get the team to work on that next week or the week after with what's coming up.
Price out a couple of things.
Yeah, you've got-
Yeah,
Okay, so there is.
It's on Friday, so it may not happen until he gets back, but we're replacing the roof. There's 2 posts that needed to be replaced. We are getting rid of gardens in the front part and putting grass down with maybe 6 picnic tables, if we can get 6 in there. And then doing some work to the posts with the flags on the front. And then we may go to the community and see if anybody's interested in purchasing a sign marker, you know, the carved sign markers for their store or whatever locations there are. We haven't got that far yet.
Okay, so the garden in the front, I agree that was this is one of my questions was about the maintenance of this garden. That garden on the front is not very old. It cost $20,000, right? That was just before amalgamation. That was an initiative of the former government with a $20,000 grant from the feds, I think, that was part of a whole beautification thing. So if we're ripping it out, because that has been an idea from some, are we consulting with the community at all on that? Because otherwise there'll be blowback.
Well, what we were planning was around the gazebo, was to keep and maintain the gardens around the gazebo part,
Okay.
but not in the front part. It's very hard to maintain.
Yeah, because maintenance of it is clearly a problem, right? Last year, there were some volunteer teams that were working, and I think at some point there were some public works
Yeah,
resources.
got the gardens already in the beginning of the season.
More than some, because we went down there in the spring of last year with 5 people, and we hauled 7 loads of crap.
Yeah, and there's probably 5 loads of crap now, right? They look terrible right now. So I think that if we're doing something, it's a good thing. And if we're making it sustainable, is a good thing. But having public engagement on that.
My question would be how that happens, because.
Well, we could ask the key people that were involved in maintaining volunteer group.
Okay.
And those who were involved in getting the money. You can appreciate that.
Do that in the next week maybe, and then.
Yeah, because it's clearly time, because it doesn't look good. Okay.
But aren't we the key people now? I think to go back to previous key people is not beneficial moving forward.
No, but the key people, meaning the volunteer group, Lorena, you and I have spoken about this, that last year, in our own communities, the volunteer group that were involved in helping to maintain the public gardens became disillusioned. And in large part, there's been an abandonment there. So we need to re-engage these people if we're going to rely on them to do anything. Otherwise, it's totally up to us, right? And then we need to have it sustainable and presentable, and we wear the outcome.
Because I will say as well, the grasses that are in front of the Holy Whales, in those beds along there, we are removing those, and we will put cement over those.
Okay.
A lot of them pose a problem for cars and pedestrians to be able to see vehicles coming by, so that's getting rid of those, which is, I get it, unfortunate, but it's a safety issue in my mind. So the gardens would be left, would be in front of on the outpost, what would be around the gazebo, and.
What about at the corner there of, basically the corner right where the store is? I think that is municipal owned, is it not? Where Ocean
Under the sign?
Yeah.
I didn't think it would have been, if you're saying it.
Opposite the store?
Where the sign for the store is in the garden?
Well, the corner there is.
A funny view.
Yeah.
Well, we can look into that one.
Because the other one, that we ran into this problem last year, where we're calling in front of Cleveland Place. So this is, like, we need to basically get to some endpoint. Because the issue is in front of Cleveland Place on Main Street, there is a fence there that has been put there by the landowner. And the history is because in front of the fence, between the street and that fence, there are 3 trees that were also part of beautification. And there was a big fight, you could say, with those landowners and the previous municipal government about who owned that. And the municipality insisted that they owned it. And that's why they were in charge or took the decision to cut down the trees. And then those 3 trees that are there were replaced by the municipality. And so the landowner threw up their hands and said, fine, if it's yours, you cut it. Well, remember last year, I think it got whippersnipped several times, but it was no man's land. So either we take it on as a municipal asset that we maintain, or in my view, we should go back to the landowner and say, we're in a new era. would you be so kind as to maintain that?
I can
So we need to get to the bottom of that.
But in most municipalities, although it's considered to be the municipality's property, the homeowner still has a responsibility to, I know in Ottawa, you have to still.
Right. We have some pre-amalgamation
So we can
stuff.
look in the bylaw and see what.
There's nothing in the bylaw.
There's nothing in the new Fundy Albert,
I didn't see it. You're talking about the rural plan?
plan.
No.
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
But we need to get through that one, I think. Otherwise, it's gonna stay with us. Hanging baskets, do we have a schedule? Because people ask, so.
They drop them off. They're planted, but they're in the greenhouse and they'll call when we need to go.
So we're probably within the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Whenever they say it's,
Whenever they.
they release them in the wild.
Next question was about the 4 porta potties. Maybe they're gone. I don't
No,
know.
I was gonna call, I have to call to get those.
Are they gonna leave?
Those were just in place
Yeah,
in case, because we couldn't open the public water washers when the water.
I wondered about
So
that.
those will be gone. I'll call tomorrow.
I only got a couple more. The village sign, you mentioned there that the village sign was removed. I noticed that it had gone. So this is, I don't know if in the other villages, you guys had signs that were quite nice signs. The Alma one was quite a nice sign. It's a historical sign.
It's in the boardroom still.
Oh, okay.
We did not throw it out. We didn't throw the one of, Riverside out.
Oh, okay. They've just been removed because they're Fundy Albert. Are we making any attempt to put our new logo then in those places?
We haven't really discussed where we're gonna be putting signage, but it is still a municipal asset, so we may consider putting stuff in front of the assets, yeah.
Because, you know, in terms of our logo and such, and the Public Works trucks, or recall when we had the presentation from the Lackey Group, they had, one of the images was of the municipal vehicles with the big logo on. I personally would be hugely in favor of that.
Yeah, so Tim's working on that with, with.
Okay.
I just got the brand guidelines.
Okay, great.
Just did it.
And the last one is that this is a gun from last year. We had the new benches that were purchased as part of that same beautification thing finally arrived in Alma last year, and the old benches were relocated to Hillsborough. And I think, Scott, your plans with your people were to rehabilitate the benches over the slow season and the winter. And then is there plans for those benches to be repatriated back into the community? Because there's places that on Main Street in particular that those could be used. Okay, yeah.
Sure.
That would be good. So that was long sort of intended plan that the benches the rehabilitated benches from before would come back. And we can maybe discuss offline where they go.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So from my perspective, I just want to make a couple of comments. One is, I am overwhelmed in terms of pleased with what has happened with the temporary water supply in Alma. And it's no short measure because of all the hard work that's been done by administration and the Public Works team and the engineering folks and the partnership with Fundy National Park. You have no idea how happy I am to see that come together with no boil water advisory, and everybody is happy. I was over through the community on Saturday, and it was great to see weekend coverage. It was great to see lawns being mowed, whippersnipped. Everything was looking really, really nice. And hats off to Public Works for doing that. As far as the aging compressor at the rink, that's not lost on me, because if we push those units too hard, they're going to fail, and then we're going to be without an arena. So that should be part of our long-term capital planning to not only upgrade, but perhaps replace the plant, because we have one rink, and if we lose it, we're done. And you know, I picked up on your point, Councillor Coates, about the Bobcat being left outside. You know, it could be something as simple as a sea can. Would that fit in a sea can? Because they make 20-footers, 25s.
Maybe we can buy law now, those sea cans.
Well, we can change the bylaw. No, I'm just saying, I personally don't think it's right to have a piece of equipment like that sitting around outside 12 months of the year. Anyway, just kind of throwing that out there, because you can purchase sea cans for a lot less than it might be to build a lean-to on an existing shed. And as far as the garden at the village square is concerned, my view on those types of things is anytime we go to spend money on beautification and or the purchase of a new asset, we need to consider what it costs to maintain those assets.
Correct.
Because that village square is no bigger than this room and it is consuming a lot of resources to keep it weeded and hauling all kinds of stuff out of there. So as a council, before we make a decision to purchase something new or to build something new, we need to really consider hard what it's going to cost us in terms of labor and dollars to maintain that stuff. I have had more than one, and I could probably find as many other people who would be oppositely opposed or who would be opposed to the removal of any of those plants, but I have had a number who said that we should just clean some of it off, grass it, and then it's a quick mow, it's done, and still have some plants. But we shouldn't just tear that
That's why
up.
community engagement, I think, is maybe will help us.
Maybe we can repurpose some of those plants someplace else in the community. So that's all I have. So thank you very much, Scott, for your report. It was a detailed report. Very much appreciated, and very much appreciate all the hard work that the folks in Public Works are doing.
Yeah, we're not done.
And is the reservoir levels in Alma recovered since we've?
Fresh top.
Come back up Sunday afternoon
Yeah.
for Mother's Day weekend.
We recovered every night.
Well, I didn't over Mother's Day weekend.
No, but I mean, now
Sunday afternoon, also been topped up 24/7.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying we do have more on the admin report. That was just the public works section. Do you want?
Okay, if you want to carry on, we'll finish the senior report.
I'll go through it quickly. So, all the summer positions have been hired, so that's good to see. We do have an agreement between Fundy, Friends of Fundy and ourselves for the Visitors Information Center, so we're working on that. And we do also I have in here an agreement that we're working on with Fundy, Albert, and Kodiak Cycling Trails. So Kim, that was Kim's piece, and it's they're working with legal and insurance on that type of a deal. The bylaw review, I did change the schedule a little bit from when it was first presented because the rural plan was kind of moved in there. So, and then we have the water and sewer bylaw being looked at.
It needs to be pushed from what you got there.
Oh, you need more time. You want to extend it, so that's fine. Anyway, I just kind of put those ones up to the top of the list and then moved a couple of the ones down to later in the year. So it's still going to keep us on track. As long as we're working on bylaws, I think that's a positive thing. So Kim, I'll let you do the next, which is just the branding session and the website redesign.
Yeah.
It's not really a whole lot. It's an ongoing thing at the moment.
Okay, well, as you know, we have a new logo, tagline. The website, I have a meeting with Derek tomorrow at 10. It's coming along nicely. The target completion date is May 31st. However, there is a buffer there, June 15th, worst case scenario. So, and a lot of content, as he's been asking me for a lot of stuff and he's been pumping it in there and he's going to give me a sneak peek tomorrow. So see what it's like. It is
All
exciting.
the bylaws getting there, the existing, I'm talking about the former municipal bylaws that are still in force.
To be all those on the website, yeah, they will be, all the bylaws that are in effect will be as well. The strategic plan, as you know, that was completed, well, not completed, but the public engagement and our portion of it was completed. Economic development and tourism was one of the top 5. Village services, strategic partnerships, infrastructure, and communications. So those were identified as the 5 priorities. So the next steps are of the administration, we have to take those and develop our goals within that. And then we can have the group come back and do, council wanted to do the stakeholder engagement. So we need to start maybe organizing some of those to go back out to everybody, encourage communication back to the community on what that is. So we did just receive a report from the Erica from the planning group. Today I haven't had a chance to read it over, but it seemed to be the report basically with those 5 steps in it. So I can share that once I get a chance to take a look at it. As far as the major projects that are going on, I won't go in detail over all of those. Those are in the report, but just we know that there is the Alma Water Project. So it's part A of phase 2, which is getting the 2 wells joined up together. So we should be seeing a report from them by the end of the month, I believe, or by the end of this week or next, let's say, was going to be when that report of the preliminary design. So we'll have a chance to take a look at what that's going to be. The temporary water, as we know, in Alma has been completed, and thankfully with no boil order for now. So hopefully that continues as it is. As far as the Alma Water Project, though, there is they're working with lead designers from key disciplines and their engineers, and they are going to have that report ready for us. The CAP basin in Alma, which is the one in front of the fire station, we did meet on site. We did identify some deficiencies. They did resolve that, and we consider that file closed now. The stormwater management proposal, so fieldwork commenced this past week on it. So the total project is $18,000. It is in the budget. That's a budgeted item, and we are billed at currently at $1,106 to date on that. And we should get some information on the what fieldwork had produced for the result. The lagoon in Alma, Englobe has completed the report, and it is with their internal people in order to review it, and they will submit a long-term plan to us by May 17th. So we should have got that, but I'll have to look through my email. We might have got that last week when I was away. And there will be road work being done on the 915, which is from the village limit to Bucket Hill, and it includes ditching, shoulder restructure, asphalt leveling, and chip seal. So there's approximately 3.9 kilometers. That is not Bucket Hill itself at the time for now, but it is the part past that towards the village limits. In Ward 2, as we said, we are doing the Riverside Albert Water Treatment Plant. We did have a tender closed on May 9th. One bid was received, however, it has come in over budget. So we are currently now working with the bidder, or our contractor, EXP, is working with the bidder to see if they can find some cost savings in there. I should note that EXP did a kind of a redesign of the system in the first place because the contract with the estimates were going to come in really high on the initial design, and they did scale it down to this new design, and that is still coming in over budget. So we are also going to go out to see if there's any flexibility with our funding. We're not sure that there will be. However, we're working on that. So that contract won't be awarded until we can figure out what's happening there. And in Ward 2, there'll be some work done on Forestdale Road at Caledonia Mountain, and that's to finish up from the project, I guess, last year, and finish up on that chip seal. In Ward 3, do we have an update on Ward 3, or can I just?
Okay.
Okay, we'll wait. So there is an update on that, but that is a project. So we did go to council on an emergency meeting to ask if we could put a tender process in place just to start and get the ball rolling. That tender hasn't been put out just yet, but at least we know it is in the works. In Ward 4 for Hillsborough Water, there was a professional service proposal done in July of 2022, actually, was updated again in 2023. That suggested that our Public Works Department could take on the access road. So we have agreed to add that to the plan in the fall of this year to get that project started this year. So the access road would be done and would be ready for additional work next season. Graybrook Road, there is a big update there. I'll let the mayor do that one as well. That's been something he's undertaken. And then Pound Hill is, DTI has provided the scope of work for the paving of Pound Hill, and Englobe has been engaged to further consulting services, and it is on the agenda for discussion later, so I won't go into detail. There's currently nothing for projects in Ward 5, and in Ward 6, the lagoon is something that was being worked on. It's kind of in a pause right now until we hear back from the community funding branch, like Jeff Russell. So right now, there's no further work on that one.
So I know that there are likely some questions resulting from the CAO's closing comments, but I would suggest that we kind of put those in park for the time being, because we do have our presenter who was to be here earlier, who is kind of sitting patiently at the back, and would invite that person to come forward and to do your presentation, if you would, please. Mrs. Lamont. If you would like to just come over here and sit in the
Yes,
chair.
The snoring in here is not me. We bored him.
So, the public presentations are limited to 5 minutes, so,
I came from Member Cook and it's 8 minutes. Is that okay?
5 minutes. I'm sorry, but the presentation, so if you don't mind, just kind of,
I will do the best that I can.
all right.
So I wanted to invite you for letting me speak here tonight. My name is Lynn LeBlanc, and the best way for me to introduce myself is that I am an independent advocate working to get a new mental health trauma and addictions healing center for Southeastern New Brunswick. I started this project, it was supposed to be Southeastern New Brunswick, and it's carried on into Kent County. Very interesting. So in February, I sent a proposal regarding this healing project to Sherry Wilson, who's the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. She contacted me directly a few weeks ago to inform me that she has taken time to review this proposal and she's escalated this to her committee for consideration and review. This was also sent over to the Minister of Health, and also a copy of this was put in directly into the hands of Jeanette Pettipas-Taylor a few weeks ago. I'm very pleased to share this information with you. This is big doors that have opened that I never thought were going to open. So I'm here tonight to request support, not money, which is a good thing. So, so please be advised that I'm not going to be the person who's going to be run or operate this healing center. I will be the person who will work with a team of professionals that will put together a program that will succeed for a change. So I've spent many years advocating on behalf of people in need from our community whose voices weren't being heard. I have helped align these people with the services that they need help, they need, want, and deserve, and I move forward to the next case, which is never far. Most of the people that I help and work with are complete strangers. I'm like a lawyer without a law degree. I'm a jack of all trades and I'm a master of none. I take on cases every chance that I have without hesitation, and I do this work as a volunteer on my own time and my own expense because I care. Spent many thousands of hours working as a volunteer to help our community. So the reason that I do the work that I do is to help ensure that others will have a much better chance of survival than I did. Over the last few years, I've interviewed thousands of people, including hundreds of professionals who also agreed that drastic improvements are needed to our existing mental health services and rehabilitation services, but no one seems to know where to start. So this is actually exactly where I fit in. To ensure this proposal was not going to get swept under the rug, I spent years raising awareness that is so hard to believe towards this crisis. And then I took the initiative to unite ministers, MLAs, mayors, which is the reason I'm here tonight, communities, RCMP, mental health, communities, health, and many healthcare professionals. So I literally reached out to ask help from anybody who was willing to listen. Sorry. In conclusion, we're not all in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm. We all know somebody or know of somebody who suffered many losses from this epidemic. I have a very long list myself. And please know that almost every minute of my life has been dedicated to this investigation. One of the first things that I do every time that I speak is I inform anybody and everybody that if my eyes are open, I'm reporting, because my investigation has reached depths that it's so hard to believe, and I make sure that nobody will be able to deny, discredit, or ignore this anymore. What I've come to discover is that asking for help is currently as painful as pulling teeth without freezing. And that's unacceptable. We live in Canada, and we are better than this. So what I'm asking from you today is simply support. As I said, I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for a letter of support to be sent to Sherry Wilson and her deputy minister, who's Annie Pettipas. Just as communities, have we had enough of this epidemic? People are dropping like flies, and enough is enough. So this matter is time sensitive, as people are dying every single minute that this project is being delayed. So I suggested for this healing center to be called Taylor's Pastures in honor of Dr. Pajak. And one of them is Taylor Esterbrook, who was a little girl whose life was taken too soon. And another is baby Taylor. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this case, as this infant's child was robbed of the life that he will never have. And the father lives right here in your community. When I started this project, I had no idea how I was going to get this job done. Many doors have opened that I never thought was possible. So I highly recommend, if you have a few minutes, put in Dr. Pat Adams' Mayo Clinic. It's a 60-minute long presentation. I watch it every couple of months because it reminds me of the kind of healing that our community needs and what I'm fighting for.
What was the name of that class?
Dr. Pat Adams, Mayo Clinic. It's 16 minutes. And this is what we need. So the location is to be determined. I'm not going to be the person making those decisions. So it's really up to Sherry Wilson. And it's in her hands right now. It's fresh on her plate. So if we come together as communities, I've reached out to every single community, municipality, city. So basically everybody from Fundy right up until Kent County, they'll all be discussing this at their community council meetings over the next few weeks. So if we come together and just tell her, we need and want this, what's she gonna say? No? What's the worst she can say? It's no. Anyways, thank you for your time. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
So when I said there was 5 minutes, you're actually very close to the 5 minutes. So thank you very much.
And I'm sorry for getting emotional, like I actually did pretty good.
But that does not include if there's any questions from any members of council. So Councillor Elderkin. any
No questions. I can feel your passion and I wish you all the best on your.
I at one point spent 16 to 20 hours a day working as a volunteer without pay. I live on $533 a month and I have a kid. I have a kid to feed. My son deserves and needs a lot more than this. But I have spent every minute, and that's why I asked for those extra 3 minutes. I've done all this and spent thousands of hours working as a volunteer for this. 3 minutes.
Just remember to look after yourself as well.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Ruffler.
I'm the emotional one. I'm so sorry. No, I just wish you well. And I don't see why we should be supporting, letter support is always useful. So we can talk about that later on.
A letter of support, call for the mayor, anything, meeting with the mayor, any support that the community we can bring to the table will help. It will save lives.
Okay, Councillor Land.
Yes, thank you for your report. I appreciate what you're doing. And a letter would be fine. We have to prove that, no problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Jonah.
Truly appreciate your compassion and your time as a volunteer. Thank you very much. We need more people like you. Nothing further, but again, like my previous two councillors pointed out, I have no problem. So I'd like to support the members.
Thank you. Councillor Coates.
Lynn, thank you very much for your report. I wrote it twice and it really brings back some memories of my own family. And I hope that you succeed in getting help to move on the mental health and the training. Thank you.
I'm not going away until those doors get open.
No, nothing to add. Thank you very much, Lynn. I also read your.
Thank you for your time.
Your lengthy information letter.
So Ms. LeBlanc, thank you very much for your presentation. It was, all the material that you provided was a lot of depth and it covered, a lot of the history and your involvement with mental health and with helping others suffer or to survive through mental health crises. I thank you very much for your presentation. Council will have a discussion around your request for a letter of support, and if council approves of it, we will prepare a letter that will be signed by me and then sent to Sherry Wilson.
Certainly appreciate that.
Okay, so thank you very much. Sorry you had to wait so long.
No, it's okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, and very much appreciate and I was kind of wondering who it was that was snoring.
Scott. His name is Margo.
Great. So thank you very much, and you're more than welcome to sit and stay for the remainder of the meeting.
So I have to be.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody.
So going back to our previous conversation, and the CAO's final comments and finishing up the presentation. Are there any questions from council in relation to what our CAO had to provide?
Yes, in the package, you provided some detailed information from the Alma Fire Department. Is that a new process?
It should be, yes. I've only received the one report this time around, but yes, every time I would like to have the reports because they can pull it right from their system. I haven't got to that part. yet.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But yeah,
I thought maybe you just skipped over that part.
nope,
Oh, wait.
the next two are a different agenda.
Yeah, the different agenda items. Councilor Russell, any questions on the CAO's report?
Not at this time, thank you.
Council Land,
No, no, that's not.
Council Jonah,
No, good, thanks.
Council Coates,
Well, thank you for the information you gave us.
Councilor
I have one for Linda and one for maybe you, Bob. For the Alma Water project, I think it would be very useful. You mentioned, for instance, the new stormwater project. It's 18,000 and they've invoiced for 1,000. So it's a fiscal update on that project. The water project is $12.2 million. And I think we owe it to ourselves to monitor.
We haven't incurred any cost on that
Okay.
yet, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as, but that's the goal, is to actually have better reporting around the project so that we can see what the budget was.
Right, okay. Now, the strategic plan, it seems to me that fundamentally, this is it's the plan of the council. And the council needs to formally adopt the plan.
Right.
So that starts with us receiving the plan.
The draft.
Right. So that there's a number of steps that are
I
coming.
believe that's what,
Maybe
I
we're
was
seeing.
asked to prepare a letter that would form part of the plan, which I've done. And I provided it to the consultants. They were going to provide a draft of the plan for our review.
Right.
And comments, any changes made to that, and at some point.
Perfect.
Formally adopted by council. And then, once it's formally adopted by council, we go from ward to ward and present
Yeah,
it.
so there's a key step in the middle that's missing, which is the adoption.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have any questions, so thank you very much. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the Animal Services Report for January to April 2024. Nothing really? Information item?
These were, we do have contracts in place and we need to be monitoring them and seeing what the results of those are. So I am starting to include these. So that is the one for the PAW, which is the People for Animal Wellbeing. And it just lists what the activities were from January till April.
Excuse me, is there one for the local service districts as well?
No, but I can reach out and see if they have something.
Well, yeah, it would be nice to have that added to this.
Be the NVSBC.
Yes, please.
How many dog tags did we sell?
Oh, I can find that out. I don't have that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I will.
Is there any, sorry, Joe.
No, I was, hey, there's, part of this monitoring is linked to that there is bylaws to, and the provincial law, recall that even for the LSD areas, there is a provincial law, all dogs are supposed to have a dog tag.
Correct.
So if the number we've issued is below 30.
I think it's just over 30. It's just over 30.
I know.
Maybe 45, maybe, that might be a stretch, I don't know.
Is there any information on charges to dogs and landowners, to dog owners? Do
No.
you get none of that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that one. I believe that what they do is education, right? And they try, but we haven't, I think in order to charge, it has to come back to us. So we haven't had any files come back to us for us to make decisions on how to proceed.
So when we make a complaint to them to activate them, they go to the dog owner and there's no follow-up after that. We don't know what happens.
Yes, there is.
It will-
Because if there's a ticket issue, the ticket comes to us. And if it's not paid, we decide to prosecute or not.
Can we add that to this report? That's what I'm wondering. Is there a way to?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess there's been 9, so I can follow up though.
No, there has been some.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can speak to that, because there was one that was just issued maybe 2 weeks ago,
Oh, you're right.
and then there was 3
From a previous.
from like maybe November,
They were paid.
October, November, and they were paid.
Correct.
So on our report for dog tag sales, then we should put how much in, if there's been fines paid.
What my point is this going to show a track record of maybe possibly certain animals or dog owners? And that's what I'm driving this for. It's nice to have the information early, but there's no background to it. So if there's an issue on this, say a particular animal or dog owner, we can see that as it accumulates over time. And that will make a difference, I suspect, on how things have been dealt with. Appreciate that.
Okay. Anything else? If not, the fire department report, it was mentioned.
So yes, I went out to the fire department and said, because I know the last time we met, that they did have, a reporting system where they input all of their calls. So I know that the Riverside Albert Fire Department comes to you and says, here's what we've done for the month or whatever, and you usually report at council, but we weren't seeing that anywhere else. This is something that's already in the system. So I did get a response from the Alma Fire Department, how many calls they've had, how many hours of service that their volunteers have done. And I'd like to keep building that and make sure that the Hillsborough and the Riverside Fire Department can do the same reports that we can look at, even if it's on a quarterly basis.
And that's all I asked of the fire chief and Riverside, but so do they know, do they know about this report?
Yeah.
I mean, they know about the report, but have you physically asked them? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I do know in Riverside Albert, it's just a matter of getting the numbers into the system. He wasn't ready to share anything because he didn't have all of the numbers in just yet. So, and in Hillsborough, there was some issues with emails. So I do believe by next quarter, I should be able to produce something. Well, it's gonna, we're a bit off on there, but anyway.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll do it every 3 months.
Yeah.
And have you reached out to Riverview?
I have not.
Okay. Anything else? If not, we'll move on to item number 5, new business. So the first order of business under new is Hillsborough Recreation Council. So the CEO circulated a council report form. I assume members had a chance to review it. The details of history around the Hillsborough Rec Council and its uses over the years. The CEO is recommending that council dissolve the Hillsborough Rec Council in favor of the creation of a not-for-profit by a community group. One is currently under development. Am I correct in saying that?
Believe so, that would be better.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments? No? All right.
Well, there was I noticed there was a proposed motion, so we're going to table that motion.
Yeah, there is no motion. It would be brought to the next order, the next council meeting.
So just in the statement, sorry, when you said there was no questions, but you're in agreement, like in support of this? Because I think at the last meeting, it was back together, the rec council in Hillsborough.
Well, we are putting a rec council together. Most matters are gonna fall under the old rules, like the old.
Right.
But I think by the looks of this, we're just gonna scrap everything, we start from new, and then just a nice clean cut, and it's done.
Okay.
And it's not a municipal affiliated council.
And we have not put anything through that business number this year. In 2024, we haven't put anything through that business number. So the Village of Fundy Albert has not taken advantage of any of the funding or budget, anything through that. We didn't do any hiring of the lifeguards. We didn't do any, well, the grants, we did get the approval from the Heritage Canada group that we could do the grants for Canada Day as long as they were 2 separate. So they were well aware of what was going on with that.
For 2020.
For 2024.
Correct. Yeah. All right, item number 5.2, asphalt paving 114 Salem Road to Civic number 2736. So NBDPI number probably 2 years ago had assigned $100,000 to the former Village of Hillsborough to resurface Route 114 in Hillsborough from the bottom of what's commonly referred to as Pound Hill to civic address 2736. The work is to be done in 2024. Since then, NBDTI allocated an additional $35,000 to the project because of significant cost increases on similar projects. Part of the arrangement under the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program is that the municipality is required to manage the project. Engold Corp has developed a proposal to complete the work, and costs are estimated at approximately $232,000. So they've assigned 135, cost of 232. This is approximately $100,000 more in the funds, more than the funds provided by NBDTI. Under the agreement between municipalities and the province under the PMHP, we should be paying between 5 and 15% of the total project costs. This is significantly more than that. So I'm going to first ask the CEO if she has any comments to provide, but I do have some idea of maybe what we should do next.
I do not have any additional comments, just that it is a funding question at this point. It's also a project that's long overdue. From what I understand, it's been on the books for a while.
Okay. It has been on the books for a while. What I would propose is that we reach out to the PMHP program coordinator and request some additional funding because of those additional costs. And if the answer is no, council will need to make a decision in terms of whether we just forget about that project or whether council assigns municipal funding to that particular project. In other words, our contribution would be much more than the 15%. So, my first preference would be reach out to the program coordinator to see if there are additional funds that could be leveraged to help us out and just make the request. Any comments, questions?
My only question, Bob, is where exactly is this?
At the top of the hill before you go down, you're down the steep hill to where Highway 9 is. That's commonly referred to as Town Hill, and it has been a source of many complaints over the years, and it needs to be redone. I've known and I've traveled through there with a travel trailer, and when you're coming up the hill, you kind of got to dodge potholes on the way up. There was some sidewalk work that was done probably 4 years ago, Mr. Reed, on the sidewalk. They redid the sidewalk in partnership with
6 now.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, it helped the drainage issue considerably, but the road needs to be, I think they're talking about milling and resurfacing that road. It's only 200 meters worth of work, but it's like 232,000.
That's great.
And Engold is recommending, I think, some additional work on there to kind of make the road even better. But maybe one option would be to ask them to reduce the scope of work somewhat to what was originally intended, to bring it more within line of what NBDTI is prepared to provide us. So we'll reach out to them first, see what they think, and then we'll take it from there.
I think it's important to push on this. Cars are actually starting to dodge these holes now. They're going down, coming across the line, and doing the same coming up the hill. I come around the corner of the day, here's this truck on my side of the road because they're trying to get around these holes. It's a concern. It's very similar to the one down the street here. Yeah, there's a lot of people.
I think our roads as a whole in Fundy, Alberta is a huge concern. There's not just bits and pieces. When you drive from one end to the other and you enter other parts of the province, there's a huge difference. And the Albert Mines Road,
Disgraceful.
it's disgraceful.
It is.
And there's school buses, there's ambulance, there's fire trucks, all the, it's not just, we need to be advocating for bigger and better in Fundy, Albert, and the roads would be one of my top priorities.
And I'll be talking about roads a little more when I'm providing my council updates. So. Okay, anything else? If not, we'll move on to item number 6, which is mayor and councilor statements and inquiries. Councilor Arrow, if you'd like to start.
I don't think I have any help because at the regular council meeting is where we give the updates from the committees.
Correct.
So I'll give a committee, the water water and sewer bylaw consolidation committee has met for the first time, but I'll update in the June meeting. So,
all right. Thank you. Thank you. Councilor Coates.
On May 6th, I sent to DTI requesting a signage in 910 Baltimore, and for the, guide on signage on rural roads. Haven't heard anything. I'd, asked, when we met a year ago or so with, and they gave me the email to get, I'd asked for the signage for Baltimore, Roseville, and on, whatever. And, they come back and said, well, they're only steal the signs if we put them up. That's kind of an idiot statement, I guess. We were told that on the green paper that no place was gonna lose their identity, you know, like Hillsborough still Hillsborough. Albert Mines is Albert Mines, you know, da. So I don't know, I'll wait till the end of the month and then I also sent it to my phone and Hatfield there, Roy, and copied them. And I've never got a reply for either one, but I will follow up after it's been a month. Next thing, Linda, I saw you copied on the email for the Snowmobile Club. I flipped that to Kevin Williams, who's the president, because it kind of goes dormant in the summertime. So sometimes 2 or 3 months before somebody reads the email. So I told him to get in touch with you. Next thing, bylaws on the ATVs. Ellsbury had a presentation to the public back in last October. And I don't know if that's moved any further. And I sent and asked the clerk if there was a hold up on it, or, you know, seems that a bylaw for October, November, that they have, and I do have a copy of the draft bylaw. And it's pretty, I think the biggest thing is that they're asking for anybody that owns an ATV that's registered and licensed and everything can get on in their yard, drive out on any street and go to the nearest trail. And that's for anybody that's legal. And I think that is probably what's causing the problem. But nobody's saying. So maybe they're gonna call the president of the mud runners, try and get an answer of what's holding it up. And that's what all. I won't have a public meeting on it until they come up with the proposed trail to Elm. When they present that to us, then the committee will set a time and time to do it.
Thank you. Councilor Jonah.
Last Monday, Bob and I had a meeting with the residents over at Caledonia Place, great bunch of people. A couple of requests came out of that, so I'm just gonna bring them to the table tonight. One was both concerning the rocky trails by the BIC. one request was, can those trails, can we drag those trails just to kind of, so they're not quite as rough, is that something that can be done?
Mhm.
Something that you've done in the past anyways,
We've
right?
got a conditioner, we usually till them and rake them and roll it, so.
Something that you put on the agenda to be done then. And the second thing, there was a request if a couple of benches could be put along those walking trails. The seniors use them, they enjoy the walk, but they like to sit and take a breath and get the fresh air every now and again. So they're wondering something like about a quarter of the way through, and then, when you're almost through, another like two places where they can just sit, enjoy the scenery and take a breath. So we have any, other than once in Melbourne, we have any benches kicking around?
Actually, we did put a couple out, I guess, out on the marsh out here. We just took some of those screw pilings that you can turn in by hand. You can buy them at the hardware store, turn them in by hand. We put a couple of those out in a couple spots and then just screwed a couple of 2x6 on the top of them.
That'd be perfect.
We could add, look at adding some more of them in a few more locations.
Okay, that'd be
Just
just,
depends if we can turn them into the ground or not where they are, but out on the marsh, it's not too bad.
Yeah. okay, well, those are good, fancy, that's for sure.
Thank you, Councillor Land.
Last Friday in my phone call to get permission to do some volunteer work at the, Hillsborough Playground with some volunteers to push it up to cover the concrete so the children don't get hurt and just make it a little bit better. There was a public notification come up that day that the soccer field is going to be repaired. They've made some contacts and they've got a plan to look after that this summer. So I just want to make that publicly known. So, but other than that, no, that's good.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Russell.
Just a couple things. I did reach out to DTI with regards to patching, and the answer I got was based on usage. So again, I think the comment came up. We need to be a bigger priority for DTI, and I'm not sure how we grasp that, but definitely a meeting in the near future would be warranted. The talk with mattress, you're gonna look after that. I know that there was a request to DTI for some ditching. They came back and said that it wasn't a high priority on their part, and the landowner did it himself. So I want to thank the landowner for doing that. Did get a call last week. I think I sent an email out to everybody. From a local resident, but they have ties with the municipality of Grand Lake. And I guess there's quite a bit of money that is going into Grand Lake for grants for different tourism events and arenas per se. So I'm just curious, as we talked today, we talked a lot about the arena and, compressors and fire hydrants. So I'm just curious, maybe just somebody could reach out to that is in, I'm not sure if it's a village or town of Grand Lake, but how they're accessing this money, and maybe there's a way that we can get access to it as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Alderton.
Just a couple things for me. There's a couple stop signs missing from the end of Forestdale Road. Well, there's one there, Forestdale Road is missing, and there's a stop sign by the fire hall, that street there. The word on the street is that the plows might have taken them down, but I haven't confirmed that, so I wasn't sure where to go with regards to the.
Well, they did, but it's our responsibility to put them back up. So
Okay.
we've ordered a bunch of signs. I've got some signs and just, the problem with Riverside Albert Ray at the moment is we don't have anything there to drill holes to put posts back in the ground.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of looking into that right now. I may borrow a piece of equipment from the town of Riverview to drive a few anchors and then we can put them
Like
up.
a
So,
hole digger?
well, it's a driver, it's 4 inches, a tube that they got a big, it's like a jackhammer, it'll drive the post in the ground, and our
Okay.
post will just sit into it.
I'll give you a name of somebody local that might have it, because I think one of the curling club is looking at digging some holes to put a sign in. So I think you might be able to, maybe,
Like a postal booth.
yeah,
The farmers would want them.
yeah.
Yeah, I know, but we still gotta have a piece of equipment there to put it on.
Yeah, but if we hired.
Anyway, we can,
Oh, yeah.
so the other one, the street sign on Tingley Street, I think that sign is it in orders?
Yes.
And there's a culvert, there's a resident that had given a concern that the beavers were damming up on the culvert on the bottom of Water Street between the Bicentennial and the walking trail.
We looked at that today, so we'll have to, or someone will have to hire someone in to remove those beavers. They don't actually have the culvert plugged, but they have a big dam built in front of the culvert, like just a foot in front of the culvert, and they're damming that whole piece off. And speaking of that too, I guess, I don't know whose responsibility, like the trail on the other side of Water Street where they got that railing. I noticed a lot of that bank is all
Right.
falling away and the railing's starting to lean out. So I don't know whose responsibility that falls under, Trails Canada or whatever. Like, I don't know whose responsibility it is.
We'll have to look, I think it's.
I think it is, because there's a lot of issues on the trail that hasn't been
Yeah.
fixed yet. I think
So-
that by the covered bridge hasn't even been fixed yet, has it?
No.
No.
So,
Yeah, so we should make them aware because there's a few issues on
right,
the trail.
yes. But, the beavers, like say, I mean, we can go down and I've got to find out what
Yeah.
the legality is to
Right.
remove a beaver dam because I'm not going down that road again. But someone will have to be hired into removing those beavers, and then we'll have to see what our rights are as far as removing the dam and so forth. So, yeah,
Gets complicated, doesn't it?
big time.
And this is for Kim, I think, Remembrance Day. I know it's a long ways away, but I've already had 2 requests for banners.
I had request too. I did send an email to Linda and Jillian
Okay.
last week.
So I know last time we kind of sprung it on last minute, so
Yeah.
that was it.
And that's something that council needs to determine. Is there going to be a maximum number of banners that we put out, or are we just going to keep increasing? That's not a conversation the council needs to have.
So we gotta figure out what it's in the budget first, I guess.
Right. That was it, Councilor Elderton?
Yes.
Okay, so here's my update, Golf Club Road culverts. So since my last council update, we've received confirmation that the Disaster Financial Assistance Program has been approved. Minister Holland's office continues to be involved on this, as well as the situation on Route 114 at Grey Brook. As recently as today, I spoke with a representative of New Brunswick EMO. The municipality will need to fund the project, the culvert replacement project, and be reimbursed through the Disaster Financial Assistance Program, 100%. Correspondence will be finalized in the coming days. We do need to put a bunch of correspondence, which is a confirmation that it's an uninsurable loss, as well as the engineer's report, which we got today. Get all that information, send it in. There has to be, and the individual was going to send me the specifics of apparently mitigation measures. In other words, that the culvert is going to be oversized from what it is, and that it's going to be a concrete box culvert perhaps. We need to get all that information from the engineers, then the province will sign off on it, then we're good to go. Anyway, that's the update.
Good news.
No further updates are available as it relates to the Highway 114 at Grey Brook project. For this reason, I will be requesting in the next few days a meeting with the ministers of the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure and Public Safety. And when I do, I'll advocate for areas such as the Albert Mines Road and other streets that are just in bad shape, that need some attention. In addition to the roads, the Route 114, 910, and 915. So that's what I plan to do. And shortly after that, I was kind of giving the minister's office a little bit of flexibility because they asked for some flexibility, but time is of the essence and we got to get these things going. So as Councillor Jonah mentioned, we met with the Caledonia seniors, had a good meeting with them, good exchange of information, questions answered. And lastly, I was contacted by a business owner who has previously indicated an interest in sponsoring the Zamboni at the Hillsborough Arena. And I spoke with the CAO on that today, and that's going to be looked at this summer, as the Zamboni should have the markings of the village of Fundy Albert on it. So we'll need to kind of sort out, do we need a more thorough sponsorship policy that addresses not only sponsorship of those issues, but sponsorships in general. So we'll have to have a conversation. So I am going to reach back out to the individual who contacted me and just let them know that the arena is currently closed we're working on that. We will have an answer for the following building. That's all I have. Any questions? We'll move on to item number 7, which is public comments and statements. So there's now an opportunity for members of the public in attendance to make public comments and statements if you so wish. So if you would like to say something, by all means.
Just one comment.
Yes.
Here comes the roads. It's election year.
Exactly.
Don't waste it.
Exactly.
That's my comment.
I hear you. Mr. Sutherland, anything?
I just want to say a comment and I'm listening to all the work you're doing. Congratulations.
Good, thank you very much. So that's item number 7. We do have some closed session items to discuss, so I will accept a motion to move into in camera. So moved by Councilor Coates, seconded by Councilor Lang. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor signifies by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Motion is carried.